Oh, hello there. You just caught me picking out a movie for a quiet night in. You know, it's sort of an amazing time that we live in, isn't it? Where almost anything can be brought to life on the big screen.
For better or for worse. But sometimes I get sad because a bunch of ideas I think would make really good movies I know will never get made. But maybe some scrupulous Hollywood hack will see this and steal the ideas so I can finally see them on the big screen.
One can only hope.
History is an important subject, and we must always respect it.
But I also love movies that just muck about with it.
Especially if it's a historical figure in a situation they have absolutely no reason to be in.
Basically what I want is a steampunk action-adventure comedy starring Nellie Bly and Nikola Tesla.
Basically what I want is this rough and ready explorer, always getting into fistfights and things like that, alongside this incredible inventor who's always coming up with new gadgets to help them with their adventures. Queen Victoria pops up because she's always got to be in these sorts of movies. And the bad guy is Thomas Edison.
Because, you know, Thomas Edison. Ew.
Have you seen this video? It's so sweet. It's so wholesome. And it made me think.
A cross-country buddy comedy adventure with our heroes driving a motorcycle. Ruffalo would be driving, Momoa would be in the sidecar, obviously. You know, Momoa's just like this chill guy, you know, he just gets on with everybody, and Ruffalo is just a hothead, always getting them into trouble.
You could even repurpose the line. Don't make this guy angry. You wouldn't like him when he's angry. I loved the idea of the Dark Universe. All the classic Universal monsters together in one movie? It has been far too long since we have had a good old-fashioned monster mash. And I was heartbroken when I heard they weren't doing it anymore.
And it's all Tom Cruise's fault.
Something I think they could have done is maybe taken more cues from the original Boris Karloff version. You know, maybe set it in the 1930s and then lead up the next few movies after that up to the modern day. And I like the gender swap. It's a great way to get more ladies into the roster. You could even have her saying the famous line from the original.
My love has lasted longer than the temples of our gods.
It would be almost as sexy as when Boris said it.
Almost.
With superheroes dominating the box office, more movies coming out with openly LGBT plus characters is not just probable, it's kind of inevitable. And one couple I definitely want to see get a movie is Apollo and Midnighter. For the uninitiated, just imagine what would happen if Superman and Batman finally admitted their feelings for each other.
And because I'm pedantic, I don't just want another superhero movie with an obvious love interest. I want a superhero romantic comedy. And I mean with all the cliches, you know. You gotta have the liar revealed, a misheard conversation, and it has to end with a third act racing to the airport.
And the two actors who would be perfect for these roles: Michael Fassbender, Jason Statham. Fassbender already has a very long history in superhero movies, and Statham has that gruff demeanour that would be perfect for Midnighter, but also is fantastic at movie one-liners.
You know, even for the poster, you can have cliches like one of them can hold flowers and the other one can be rolling their eyes, and you know, a building will be collapsing in the background.
Have you ever heard of Robert Leroy Johnson? Well, he was considered the greatest blues player of the 20th century. And, the legend goes, he got his talents from the devil himself. Now, this legend springs from very little being known about Johnson before his untimely death at 27. But what if? It would be a story of a man coming from nothing, obtaining all of the fame and acclaim that he's ever wanted, but always knowing that one day that debt has to be repaid. You'd have a supernatural drama with probably the best soundtrack ever.
Okay, so everything right now is franchises and movie universes, and that's fun. But the movie universe I want to see is the detective universe.
So maybe you start with like Columbo, and you know he has to go to a hotel where there's been a murder, and that just so happens to be the place where Jessica Fletcher is having a book launch. And so the two of them, they team up, and then they have to work with an overseas detective. Who is it? It's Inspector Morse. And then later on, they have to maybe talk to the guy on the street, you know, the guy in the know. It's Huggy Bear. And then, you know how Columbo's always talking about the boys in the lab? Well, maybe they have to go to the lab, they need to talk to the guys in the lab. Who's the guys in the lab? It's Abby from NCIS!
Yes, I know it's ridiculous, but wouldn't it just be great to see how they'd all interact?
You know, like how Morse would be really standoffish with them all, but, you know, slowly warming to them, and, you know, Jessica would just surprise everyone by just going headlong into danger with no thought of her own safety. Abby would gross out Columbo because, you know, Columbo, he hates the blood, he doesn't like that stuff, but Abby, she's just like, I'm not even fussed, don't even care. Yeah.
Now that's my Avengers. And yes, I know that these ideas are ludicrous and they're never going to see the green light of day. But cinema has no boundaries. It is the ribbon of dreams.
When setting the rod up, I always take time to line up the rings so they're all in a line. I've seen so many anglers with the rings, one joint just tipped that way, and it must hinder when casting or when playing a fish. If they're nice and straight in a line, you've got the through action, the true action of the blank when playing a fish. The reel I use is an open-faced reel. It's nice and light. I have used close-faced reels, but I think they hinder the casting. As you can see there with the spool, the line comes off so freely